Samantha Colosimo Testa is a council person on the Utica Common Council. She's on the line here right now. Good morning, Samantha. Good morning.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
All right, do you want to comment on Jim saying that, hey, the comptroller has failed the city, failed the taxpayers to the tune of $700,000? You want to comment on that?
Well, I mean, it's a combination of all, to be quite honest with you. I mean, and that budget deficit didn't happen in 2017, 2018. They actually hit a pension bill in 2016, 2017 that they didn't budget for to the tune of $1.1 million. And then last year didn't budget for it, and this year is making up for it. I think the issue here is that they said that pension costs went up $1.1 million, okay? And if you realize, the state comptroller's office announced back in November that pension contributions were going down, and obviously the state's fund has been the highest spent in God only knows how long, okay? So how did it go up $1.1 million? So that's kind of how it led into realizing that they had not budgeted for that discrepancy back in 2016, 2017. When you looked at the bill that the state comptroller's office provides and our actual budget, there was a $1.1 million deficit.
The comptroller said that he told you last year that you needed, he felt you should have a tax increase, a small tax increase within the tax cap that would generate about $500,000. Do you remember that conversation?
I mean, he said it, but he sits on the board of E&A, so why didn't he propose that budget amendment? I mean, honestly, I mean, everyone says that they've worked on the budget. These are fiscally sound budgets. So, I mean, why couldn't he have proposed that if that's what he really thought should have been done? Yeah. I mean, he has that authority in the board of E&A. But I mean, wait, so again, it's nice to talk the talk, but
Sam, I don't think as the comptroller, I don't think he can propose a tax increase. He can suggest it.
Oh, he most certainly can too. He sits on the board of E&A. The board of E&A passes the budget. He can certainly propose an amendment to the budget in the board of E&A.
Right. To include a tax increase? To include a tax
increase, absolutely.
I thought on E&A he could suggest, obviously vote for or against, but he could suggest transfer of funds. Maybe we should put more money in this department, cut from here.
The board of E&A has more power than the Common Council when it comes to the budget. They can actually take away salaries. They can add people into the budget, take away people out of the budget. The board of E&A has more power than the Common Council when it comes to budgetary powers. So he most certainly could have proposed it.
Okay, I want to ask you. Andrew's telling me you're very fired up over the budget, but even more so with something that happened last night. What happened last night?
Well, they had took the budget amendments and they were looking to defeat them. I mean, we proposed these budget amendments last Thursday. There were several people that didn't show up to the meeting. They showed up last night, and we're trying to pull the budget amendments out and vote them down. I mean, they actually took a list of all the budgets, who proposed them. So there was the budget, then there was myself, Councilman Marino, Councilman Williamson, and DeBrango, and they took a highlighter and they highlighted the ones that they wanted to support. But again, I mean, how can you be part of the solution when you don't propose any budget amendments yourself? I mean, and that's where it's getting to the point where it's frustrating for me that I'd spent 20 hours in City Hall going through the budget, going through munis, looking at the past several year budgets, and I had proposed what I thought were decent amendments, and that was just from prior year's experience working on the budget, and then to just take a highlighter and not even hear an explanation to why you were proposing them is kind of frustrating. I mean, and if you look at some of the votes in the past several months, it's a direct correlation of the same four people, basically kowtowing to the mayor and listening to what they tell him to do, and it's getting frustrating as the council person watching it.
Are you going to be able to avoid a large tax increase now?
If with my budget amendments alone, I'm under the 2% tax cap.
Wow. Okay.
There's literally $1.4 million of budget amendments just by myself.
So
between the other council people combined, you're at a 1.6.
Where do you cut? So where would you cut? How do you get down to that number?
Here I'll give you a rundown. Like I said, with the pension costs, obviously I said they didn't go up to the tune of $1.1 million from last year to this year. So if you look at when we deferred pension costs back in 2012, 2013, 2014, we had a direct correlation between the amount that we deferred and our fund balance. Okay, so maybe if we didn't defer those payments, we wouldn't have the money inside our fund balance in order to make up for that. So one of the ones was from the fund balance, like I said, which was a direct correlation of deferred pension payments. In those years, 2012, 2013, and 2014, and then we have what's called an interfund transfer. And that's from the Water Trust Fund. So I don't know if you guys remember when the mayor proposed his repair work plan. He said that, he wanted to take all the money from the Water Trust Fund and get a big lump sum and fix the roads. But anyways, we get a payment for that for about $480,000, which was supposed to go directly towards infrastructure. So we had budgeted in 2015, 2016, 2017, revenues out of that to a tune of $900,000. Mm-hmm. Well, we never utilized those revenues, okay? So obviously, with the paving program that we had implemented, I took those funds out of that fund, which we didn't utilize in prior years, and added them to the budget, which could be directly correlated to what it's supposed to go for, which is infrastructure, okay? And then it was $450,000 out of that, $700,000 out of our fund balance, and then we had several costs that our new budget lines, like $75,000 in legal fees for the police department, $45,000 in fees for the fire department, and then DPW had legal fees to $10,000. So I took those out because we had never budgeted for them in prior years to the tune of $120,000. So those lines to me just didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a contracted service lines that they had utilized before, and that money was still where it's at. I mean, I looked at Munis, I looked at the 3 prior years, and then there was, several other funds. I think there was the marina. We just sold Aquavino, so I had taken $7,200 out of that because what are we going to keep repairing stuff for?
Right,
we're just going to market the building and sell it. And then there was a couple other ones I can't think of off the top of my head.
But at the end of the day, you're coming down below the tax cap.
Yeah, below the tax cap. I believe with my budget amendments alone, it was about at 3%.
And do you fear that any of your actions could hurt the credit rating?
I got to be honest with you, no, because I talked to the county comptroller and I asked because one of the recommendations from the bond group were setting a fund balance policy.
Yeah.
So I have looked at, and which I'll be implementing, once the budget's all said and done, is a fund balance policy. I mean, we're legislated that we can't go below 3% of what our expenditures are on a given year. But one of the fund balance policies from the county comptroller's office was they have a fund balance policy of anywhere from 5 to 10%. So even with my proposed amendments, it still brings the fund balance to that 5% level. Right. I think we're at 9% now. So it wouldn't drop below that 5%, which would be the policy we enacted.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, if we raise taxes 7.8%, you're definitely going to see a fund balance increase next year. I can tell you that.
Okay.
I remember something Jim Brown used to do in Rome. He would set out multi-year budgets, and he'd say it was 2% this year, 1.5% next year, 2% the year after that, et cetera. Is that something the city should look at? Because
we have been pushing for a multi-year budget for the past 5 years. We went to the state comptroller's office. We met with him. We met with one of the state legislators that actually implemented the 5-year. It was 3 or 5 year multi-budgeting. We have been pushing for that. We passed a resolution asking that the mayor implement that. I mean, we've been asking for 5-year capital plans. I mean, Councilman Bachero he was a councilman for 8 years. I mean, he pushed for that for his 8 years in the Common Council. So, I mean, we've been asking for it. Unfortunately, it's something that the administration can do. I mean, we can't add, but like I said, we can only adjust the complement of the police and fire. We can't add lines. We can't take away lines. We can't fire people. We can't hire people. So
sure.
Again, and that's what I mean when the Board of E&A has more power than us, because they have that right to do that.
Got it.
I mean, and that's kind of where it gets frustrating for us because, you can only ask so many times so you're blue in the face, And
all right,
that's kind of where we're at now.
It's going to be interesting, and your deadline is coming up. It's looming out there.
Yeah, it's about 5:00 tonight.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what their excuses are to why they didn't support some of the budget amendments, because I can guarantee there's a few council people that didn't even open up the budget.
Got it.
So
all right, let's talk tomorrow. Okay, we'll have more House as well tomorrow.